Morning! I gave you a little bump on the nose while he was asleep.
What time is it?
Oh, I don't know, like 10 or something? Oh. You naughty boy, you better get up. It's been 53 days since you did a video.
I know. I've been busy.
You're so cute when you're asleep.
God. Anyway, you what, you got to be anywhere?
No, nothing in the diary. I'm all yours.
Did we? Oh, God.
Today's word is
improvisation.
she's not wrong. The theme of this episode is improvisation. Now I'm sure a few of you have already probably clocked on to the fact that this narration is always improvised. I don't know what I'm going to say. For example, me opening this lovely brand new cutting mat, that was over a month ago. There's been a massive delay, lots of things going on, and this new cutting mat is thanks to one of my lovely patrons. You know who you are, and they bought it from my Amazon wish list. Now what I'm saying is, the reason the theme is improvisation is because I didn't know what I was building this video. All I knew was I was starting with this funny shaped jar that used to store millions, which are tiny little chewy sweets. Now these millions appear to be Vimto flavoured. I'm not sure how big Vimto is in any other country outside of the UK, but the kids seem to love it here, when in fact it's just tutti frutti. Basically it's just mixed berries. These kids are stupid. They'll buy anything their mates have got. Anyway, I'm going to chop this jar in half, I know that much, and kind of get an igloo shape. Now stupidly I used a handsaw for this, forgetting that I've got like a cheap Dremel alternative. But I'll be honest with you, that Dremel scares the shit out of me. There you go, there's an igloo shape, half the jar there. Now I'll be honest with you, I don't remember doing a lot of this stuff. So it's like I'm watching this along with you and making up the commentary, which isn't unusual, but you know, I'm much more in the dark than usual. Apparently I'm chopping the end off here because I don't like it. Apparently a month ago I thought that looked better, so there we have it, that's what we're going with. Now I'm pointing at this end because I don't like the shape. Oh yeah, that's right, so I get out a snow globe that I was saving for another project, but I needed something that was round and about that size, which is a shame. I'll get another one if the pound shop does them this Christmas. Now at this point I've remembered I have a Dremel rip-off, a fake Dremel, a Fremel, so I give that a go. I don't know what I was worried about. Now it's time to get out the hot glue gun. This is a dangerous hobby. Sharp whirring blades and molten glue and solvents that'll give you cancer. Yet we're considered the nerds. Oh, and I completely forgot that if you are after one of these millions jars, then sweet shops will have them in abundance, ready to chuck out. So do go into a sweet shop and ask for empty jars.
Hello.
Hello.
I was just wondering if you had any millions jars, the bumpy ones, in the back room there going free.
Yeah, I think we do. Was you going to buy anything?
No.
No? Let me just have a quick look. No. Now obviously the shopkeep may be a bit more receptive if you do purchase something. Something small will do. 10p lolly will do. It's the thought that counts. Support your small businesses. Now this is a bit of a chipboard, you Americans call it. I think cardboard, just very thick, firm card. It's one of my good sheets, and I think it's my last sheet. And I'm using it to fill in the entrance to this igloo, to make a little wall. Now this thing I'm pulling out here is one of those key ring things you get that you put, you know, if you lose your keys, somebody will know which door to open with them. One of those stupid things. I'm using this to make like a vault door, and then to give the vault door some detail, I'm using a bit more of that cardboard. But I'm also using this thing called a mount cutter, which I've held onto for ages and not used. And I'm picking the absolute wrong time to use it, because this piece of cardboard is too small to do this with. But if it's a bigger piece of cardboard, imagine that lovely smooth 45-degree angle you can cut with this thing. Still, I used it and I just about managed. It's a bit wonky, but hey, it's small, so who cares? There, it looks fine. Don't know what you was worried about. Now off camera I added a few tiny pieces of wire as hinges and some other little tiny bits of card. Just adding some detail. My finger's pointing at all the details right now. Now what does every vault door need? That's right, a gun-toting bumpkin survivalist that's waiting for the end of the world. And a handle or a valve, which I'm making now. The valve piece is from the junk bots that I got in my last video. There'll be more junk bot pieces coming up. This precious white sheet is styrene. Cutting this up to make little banding type things. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what I'm doing. This is all a surprise. Oh, that's a surprise. Probably add some rivets. I bloody knew it. There you go, lots of rivets using those half sphere beads in that set there. I'm assuming I'm not happy with the front of this building, because I'm going to add a lip or like an eave or like a half roof on it now with some hot glue. Now it's still improvised at this point. I don't know what this building is going to be. I just really liked that shape. So this whole project is improvised right up until the very end. Saying that, you've all seen the thumbnail, so you know what it ends up being. I don't at this point, so I'm the only one who's excited. Now look at that, that's a funny shaped piece of card. Now I do vaguely remember making these platforms because at the end of the day I was hoping to make a playable piece of terrain on the 28mm scale. And I cover this piece of cardboard with some, I think it's decorator's tape. I think you use this when you're plastering a wall or something, but it's like this grid pattern and it's sticky on one side, and it's great for making floors. Well, the patterns on floors, what I imagine to be metallic floors. It's also incredibly satisfying to trim off around the edges. Now I'm covering this whole thing in wood glue to make it firm, because this will be the playable surface if you were going to move around big fat miniatures. You don't want this thing kicking up or scuffing up. And once I've attached it, I use my tiny spirit level to check that it's level, because we also don't want our big fat miniatures sliding about, do we? Now, some crafters might leave this platform as is, but not this guy. This guy would like to make it appear structurally sound, and for this I'm going to use some Kaplunk sticks. Remember Kaplunk? I'm not going to play the advert again. I played that in a previous video. You could use any kind of plastic rod for this. Lollipop sticks would do. I just happened to have some Kaplunk sticks, and I didn't really care for the game despite its 30 years of age. This process of adding these structural rods, scaffold, took a while. It's fun, it's quite fun to do, but it takes a long time. Very fiddly. But anybody can do it, I'm sure. Now those are the supporting rods in, but that's not good enough for me. Give that a little turn there. I want some supporting struts, cross rods. You can tell I'm not an engineer, just by my phrasings. But the cross rods make it look better. And I do this for the entire thing. And when they're all in, I add a cardboard lip around the platform there to neaten it up, make it look a bit more pro. Time to add some scratch building elements, although I suppose technically a lot of this has been scratch built, if not all of it. Now this white plastic thing is a sweetener container. You use this instead of sugar in tea. And apparently sugar's bad for you, but sweeteners give you cancer. So, rocking a hard place. Now, something occurred to me the other day. Do you know who the very first scratch builder was? Here's a clip.
When your ferry bucket's empty, Mum, I'm gonna make a windmill.
Because fairy suds are so much richer, it lasts longer.
Now, for those of you that don't speak Welsh, that girl said she's going to make a windmill out of a fairy washing up liquid bottle. Now, that wasn't strictly a Welsh accent. But yeah, that girl was the very first scratch builder to my recollection. I'm assuming she made the windmill. Anyway, these are some plastic covered paper clips. And I'm using the spirit level as a guide to make tiny little metallic steps. There you go, lovely. And once I've done that, I'm going to use a longer piece to make sort of like a swimming pool type ladder going up to the platform. There you go, fiddling about with that. It's difficult with these big fat fingers. If you were to look at me, you'd think these are not the hands of a crafter, but they're probably more suited to bludgeoning or, you know, throttling, something like that. If it was Victorian times, I'd probably be the guy that strangled lots of people, just because I got the hands for it. Now, as I was improvising this build, I quickly phoned my mother, who was working at the sweet shop, and said, "Bring me home 3 toxic waste barrels, please, mother." I only needed the lids, which seemed incredibly wasteful, but don't worry, these barrels will get used elsewhere, I'm sure. Might even use them to make a windmill. I didn't really know what I wanted the lids for, but I sanded them and stuck them to the thing anyway. Sometimes, when you're at a dead end, you just need to stick something to it, or to whatever you're building, and suddenly avenues open up. I've added a smaller platform on top of the old cancer dispenser there, the sweetener case, and I've added in some more struts and poles, the kaplunk sticks. There's no need to show you that again. I'm not here to waste your time, unless you believe that watching these videos are a waste of time, and then I'm so sorry. Now, I've been told from more than one person that these videos are both humorous and relaxing. Now, out of so many views, getting 2 comments like that is enough. That's enough validation for me. I've added another platform there as well. This is a strip of that fancy card that I'm running out of, and I'm going to throw this at the ground in some kind of tantrum. Oh, look at that, it has shattered into pieces that are precisely what I need to make a set of stairs. What are the odds? Now, each step has a bit of the gridded tape added to them for extra grip. You don't want to slip on the stairs. Very dangerous if it was icy. I don't want to be responsible for any of these 28mm miniatures injuring themselves. They can get shot all they like, but I will not have any miniatures slip down a staircase. Not on my watch. Back to the old plastic coated paper clips. Use these to make railings. Just unfold them because they're already at right angles pretty much if you unfold them correctly. And this next step, I topped off the railings with some strips of cardboard. This took me a day or two to do. There was a lot of railings, a lot of bits of card, a lot of angles to be cut. I didn't film it, ever the professional that I am. And also, here's He-Man to represent the 28mm scowl. Oh, I've only got the bloody power. Time to add some half sphere, half spherical beads, the tiniest beads I have, which are precious. I'm going to be quite sparing with these in future because they're great. Now, if you're a regular to this channel, you may have seen this case before, the case that's going to appear now. This is full of Junkbot pieces, a toy that apparently is still going. It's not selling very well, but it's kind of like a scratch building toy with lots of little plastic bits. And I'm going to use these bits here. Now, I don't know about you, but what I like to do in this hobby is cover everything in my local area with super glue, so that if I decide to stick something, literally I just have to throw the thing and it will stick. I mean, I haven't come across any problems with this method yet. If you can think of an easier method to attach one thing to another, then please comment below. Although this project is improvised, I'm kind of getting a feel for the thing now at this stage, and I'm going for a communication type tower. And now, for there to be any kind of communication done, aside from shouting in a certain direction, you need power, and that's what these wires are for. Let's start wiring the crap out of this thing. Now, I'm assuming you heard the car that just whizzed by my window just then. Usually I'd close my windows, but being the rebel that I am, you're going to have to listen to these cars because I'm not closing these windows. I am drippings with the sweat. It's humid. I'm waiting for a storm to come, and it ain't bloody coming. So you're just going to have to put up with it. Oh, by the way, the beep that some of you may have noticed in these videos from a walled-in smoke detector, it's died. After 2 years, the thing has died. Can you believe it? Here comes my old man finger to point out all of the wires that I've attached to the thing. And I don't know about you, but I am dying to see this thing primed at the minute, because that transparent... Did you hear that car just then? Bloody thoroughfare. These are some tiny little round loop beads, some plastic coated paper clips, and some butterfly backings for studs. And I'm going to use these to make a conduit on the front door. Bend the paperclip into shape, thread them through the butterfly loop things, and use the little round loops at the ends, attach them to the conduit boxes. At this point, I'm certain that this building is a communications tower, so I'm going to use this plastic dome thing to make a satellite dish to get all of the Sky TV channels back in the 90s. I want Sky 1. I want, yeah, Sky 1 will do. I'm not a big sports guy. Sky Sports, I'm not paying for that. Movies, yeah. But we do have a guy that comes around renting videotapes out from the back of his van. But to be fair, whenever he gets to us, it tends to be the Dolph Lundgren crap that no one's ever heard of. And there I am waffling on. I've attached all these little pieces. Some of them are from the Junkbots, some are just wire rods and just bits of wire. And I've got a pretty decent looking satellite dish. I'm quite happy with this. And like the cherry on top, the build is finished, I think. Yeah, I've decided it's finished. It's time for a prime. Oh, I've been looking forward to this. It's magic! And speaking of magic, I'd just like to say a thank you to the patrons right now. I don't know what that's got to do with magic, but you're all magic in my eyes. Continuing with the improv theme of the video, I'm going to read the patrons from a maze. This is a maze, see? So we're going to start with the top tier. We've got Gemma Ingram, Tony Ellison, Rich Evans, Julian Soto, Smokey, Zoltan, Miranda Stone. You should follow Shitehawk on Twitch. Very clever Shitehawk. Country Fried Minis, Demon Mitten Hands, Benedict Miller, and Ed Trops. I'd also like to thank the brand new patrons: Hester, King M3, Aaron Ryan, Whites, Host School, Roger Harper. Oh, who's that? Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the other tiers. Thank you very much to all of you. You've been very supportive considering how long this video has taken to come out. I'm very grateful. Enjoy the rest of the video. It's time to paint this thing. I'm going to be going through the motions, starting with a burnt sienna base. And then a gunmetal dry brush over the top, just to give it a sort of rusty metallic look. At this stage I was hoping to make the thing look new, pristine almost, but it never happens. Never happens. But also I have to admit I was half tempted to leave it looking metallic like this. I like this look. I thought long and hard about what colour to paint this thing, and I went with red. And I did the usual stipple chipped paint look effect. And if you don't already know, that's just dabbing the red paint on and making sure you leave lots of the silver showing through. Very easy, but effective. And when this whole thing was painted, it occurred to me that it looked quite similar to one of my favourite comedy / sci-fi shows ever made. Yep, I'm in the big leagues now. My brother bought me this thing for my birthday.
What I got is from the company in the United States, or manufacturer a car.
Quite a nice feeling. Oh, the applications.
Lugging around to make a good second bite for a house.
Now, stippling the paint to make it look chipped isn't enough, so I'm using a darker red and a lighter red to show the lowlights and the highlights of the chipped paint. Now, this is time consuming, but totally worth it, because since my last video my standards have risen slightly, which is in complete opposition of my love life these days. This is a brief pan of the project so far, and I've decided at this point to call this thing the Raspberry. That could be its nickname. There's a little bit of lore in as much as its name is the Raspberry. That's all the lore you're getting. But this thing is some kind of research lab, potentially. Research / communications, and I want this to be located in some kind of grassy, foresty type land. Somewhere that's green. Somewhere that's green. Is that a Disney song? I don't think it is. While I was rambling, I painted all of the wires a very, very dark grey. Not black, dark grey, and the satellite dish is an off-white. And some details are going to be painted in this colour, which is... come on, turn around. Brass. Thank you very much, paint. Here I am painting some of those small details with the brass colour. Try not to get too excited. This is edge of your seat action, I know. But just try and sort of get a cushion, have a coffee or a cocoa, settle down. I'm sure you're playing this video at some kind of some lively party, you know, everybody jumping about with drinks in their hands, watching the entertainment. But this really is meant to be enjoyed in a seated position, preferably slouched. I know that I am. Right, I painted a number 6 on the front for no reason, just because I wanted to paint a relatively easy number, and I'm using some masking tape here to paint crosses on some of these domes. No reason for that either, but I'm very happy with the look. This base almost becomes Swiss if it was set on Earth. It's not Switzerland, alright? So don't go claiming this as yours. What am I saying? The Swiss won't claim this as theirs. They won't do anything because they're neutral. The cowards. That was a joke. That was a terrible joke. I do love your neutrality-based politics stand, but this isn't your building. I've also added a little red shape on the white satellite dish, which is quite similar to the Japanese flag, in which case they absolutely would claim this. There's no neutrality there. Another country that I love. Although I want this project to be lovely and colourful, it's looking too colourful, so I'm going to add some washes. A rust wash, a green wash, and an oil stain wash, I think. And you're just going to have to assume that I did all that, because I didn't film it. Is it possible to pick up a large board and not wobble it like the sound of thunder? It's time to do the base. I normally don't enjoy doing bases, but I'm quite excited to do this one because unlike my previous bases, I'm going to cover this one in foliage. But first I'm going to use this mud stuff. This Vallejo earth texture acrylic that I've had for 2 years, and I was expecting it to be just like a mud clump, like a dry mud clump when I opened this lid, but no, it was fine. And when it dries, it leaves a lovely texture. You can mound it up and all that. Pretty good stuff. Look at that, looks like real mud, and it will dry like that. But before it dries, I've added some tiny stones and bits of sand just to make it look more like actual dirt. And once that's all dry, I'm gonna do some pointless stop motion to move this thing out of the way when I could have in fact just done it with my hand. It would have had the same effect, but I like to waste time. And I'm gonna collect all of my foliage and grass tufts and flowers and everything together and see what I can use. This is an empty jar, and I'm going to use this to make some kind of moss mixture using some 2 shades of coloured sand, or whatever it's called, the flocking. And it was at this point that the builders in the house, we have builders in the house, shut the electricity off without warning me. Do you mind? I'm trying to make a YouTube video. Yeah, I don't have a girlfriend. I have done it. I've had one in the past. I mean, I don't see how that's relevant. back to mixing. So I'm adding 2 different shades of flocking, one darker green, one lighter green. And I'm also going to add some I think it's like 1 or 2 millimeter flocking, grass flocking. Now I've got this stuff and I've got a few other flocks, but I don't actually have a static grass applicator. I bought a cheap one once, it was crap, didn't work. And to get a decent one, they're quite expensive, so I've not got around to it. So I've been making do by gluing most of my flocked projects while hanging upside down. That vibratortron's already paying for itself. Right, so once I've got this mixed, I'm going to use some PVA glue or wood glue. I use wood glue, it's the same thing, it's just thicker. And place it where I think there might be some mould, algae, moss on the building. And once I've done far too much of that, I cover a lot of it up with grass tufts and bush tufts. And that is pretty much bringing us to the end of this episode. I would just like to say a huge thanks to all of my patrons that have hung around for 53 days. Now, I've been ill, it's been my daughter's birthday, I've had a brief holiday with my daughter. All kinds of things have sort of come together in this month, and that's why it's taken so long, and I can only apologise. I'm sure the algorithm will not look upon me kindly, but if you could share this video, I'd be very grateful. Now, those of you that are regulars to the channel might be used to me making more horrific things, but this, in my opinion, ended up looking a bit Studio Ghibli, which I'm very happy with. Big Ghibli fan me. It's Ghibli, not Ghibli. Look it up. Anyway, I've added a few flowers to the thing. Check it out. That makes it even more Ghibli, the flowers. Look at this in the showcase. Thank you very much. Please subscribe and all that stuff. Like and subscribe. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.